Aloha, folks. Welcome to Ho'i Kaika. It's been a long time since we left you without a dope beat to step to. It's been forever. Probably about, I think, 2-3 months, just because life has gotten real crazy. But now we are back, and we got a cool special guest, a good friend of mine that I knew in college up in Utah. And we're interviewing him for several reasons. One big reason, too, is because a lot of the craziness that's happening in Maui now, as a lot of you know, the tragic fires that have taken a lot of lives, taken a lot of homes, is very sad to see, and affected all of us, especially the ones over here in Hawaii. And because seeing all of our friends and relatives be affected by it. And this guy is a Maui native. So we're going to talk about his life and some of the things he's been going through, and talk about Maui as well. So I'm going to be quiet and let my man introduce himself for all of you. Looking forward to this. His name is Jared Leung-Wo. Brother Jared, if you could go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, long time. Yeah, so it's been a while. So my name is Jared. Like you said, Jared Leung-Wo. I grew up in Maui, in Kahului, Wailuku area. Went to Bowdoin High School, graduated from there. After that, I came up to Utah to attend Brigham Young University. That's where I met Gavon at first, and pretty much since then, I've lived up here and stayed up here. I just go home, every once in a while to visit family. But that's about it. I now live up here. I work up here. Um, I'm married. Just got married about 3 years ago, and we live up here. My wife is from California, and I currently work as a physical therapist assistant, in an outpatient setting. Not right now. I work for a really small company. There's only three of us that work there. It's a guy, one of my friends, that started a company. So, it's pretty interesting to see, all of these workings from starting from small and us trying to build and get bigger. But prior to that, I was working in skilled nursing facilities for about seven years, and I enjoyed that setting. But when my friend called and asked, and offered a change of scenery, then it was something that sounded good to me, so I took it, and I really enjoyed it a lot so far.
That's cool, brother. I really admire physical therapists, because like me, I like to work out. I like to lift weights. And because of certain injuries that I've had, especially with my knees, I've had to see physical therapy. There's one physical therapist over here several times. And he helped me to get my knees back on track by teaching me how to properly squat, like do a weightlifting squat. I lucked out because this physical therapist I have, Gary, not only is he a PT, he's also a power lifter too. So he was helping me with all my techniques. And then now my knees is good, bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything you folks do.
Hey, right on.
But what made you want to do physical therapy?
Oh, I started. I didn't really think about it when I was in college. I wasn't sure. I knew I wanted to do something health field related, but it was actually one of my friends that was working in the hospital at the time as a PT aide, and then he's like, "Oh, you should come work with us." Another boy from Maui, actually. His name is Mark, and so I started working there, and then just got more interest as I was working there. I was still finishing school at the time, but man, my grades wasn't the best to go to PT school, so I ended up going to PT assistant school, which was easier to get into. And in the long run, it's been good. I've enjoyed it. Less paperwork. Still get just about the same amount of hands-on stuff as a PT would, but there's just a few differences of things we cannot do that the physical therapist can do. So it's good. I've enjoyed it. It's you say your PT is a power lifter, and the owner that I work with, he's actually a big CrossFit guy. And
There
so
you
that's how
go.
he got the start too. So he was going to this CrossFit gym, and then people was always getting injured because not proper form and all this kind of stuff. So people, like the owner of the gym, was like, "Hey, can you take a look at my friend? We'll pay you some money." And then so from that, he was like, "Oh, maybe I should just start going into this full time as kind of treating this kind of population." So that's what he specializes in. But we treat everybody from people just getting off of surgery to people with injuries from CrossFit or other sports, which is fun.
Yeah, that was actually something that my PT told me too. Is like, nowadays people are starting to live a little bit longer because they're exercising more. But
Yeah.
because of that, there's more injuries happening. So more people
Yeah.
getting messed up, especially after CrossFit came into play, right? So he said, "Oh yeah, thanks to CrossFit, I'm busy now."
Yeah, for real. That's because so he meets a lot of people in the gym, and they're like, "Hey, can you come take like I need help with my shoulder?" So he's like, "Oh yeah, come in to our clinic. We help you." So it's kind of funny. So yeah, it's funny. We get people ranging from I think our oldest person coming in was 93 years old,
Oh, too
and
good.
then all the way to teenagers and just kids that are playing like softball and baseball and like little league stuff like that. So yeah, it's fun.
Oh, you busy, brother. That's a
Yeah.
good thing. Could you talk about your ethnicity a little bit? What you are?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So my mom is Japanese, full Japanese, but we've been in Hawaii for a few generations. So I'm actually considered a gosei, a fifth generation. My great grandmother was actually born in Maui. And then on my dad's side, my dad is from Samoa. So I'm half Samoan, half Chinese. Oh, wait, sorry, he's half Samoan, half Chinese. So I'm yeah, half Japanese, quarter Chinese, quarter Samoan.
Do you speak any of those languages?
Nope. No. My wife served a mission in Japan, so she's trying to teach me some stuff, but
Ooh,
I'm too I think I'm too lazy. So I only pick up things here and there.
come on, bro.
So
You gotta make your mom proud, man. Come on.
yeah, for real.
Man.
So and so even though my dad is from Samoa, like he never taught us any. When we were younger, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll teach you when you get older." And we got older and older, and then it just never came. But when I came up here, actually, I found out that there's a lot of people from kind of our age and generation that their parents didn't really teach them as much. Maybe specifically from Samoa. My dad was under the mindset that you're in Hawaii now, and the main language is English, so you speak English, and I mean, and there wasn't that many Samoans on Maui either, so it's not like we had a lot of people to speak with. There's a few, but not as many as in Oahu. So
Yeah, funny you say that, bro. I think you might be out of all the Polynesians that I know, which is a lot. I know a lot of Polynesians from
mm,
dancing and stuff. I think you're the
yeah.
first guy I met that's Samoan Japanese. I don't think I ever met somebody that had Samoan Japanese
But
mix before. Usually it's
oh
Chinese. I mean, a lot of
yeah,
Samoan Chinese.
plenty Samoan Chinese. Yeah, plenty.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting, man. You see, do you think that maybe being so diverse yourself, how do you see how that may have affected you growing up and influenced your I don't know, upbringing or whatnot? You see that?
Yeah, I think so. I think well, size wise, yeah. So I mean, I'm not real tall, but I'm wide. So so
Short and stocky,
affected me
yeah.
that way. I like to eat, yeah, but no.
Yeah,
But
all of us
no, I
probably.
think I think having a diversity growing up, especially in Hawaii, yeah. I mean, you look at some people and it's like, oh, hard to tell what they are, so you don't get really stereotyped right away with certain things. As I mean, so even though we live in Hawaii and grow up there, we still have those stereotypes, and not all of them are negative. There's a lot of positive stereotypes too, but we still grow up seeing like, oh, those, that group of, I don't know, Japanese kids, they all in the, they all smart, they all in the honors classes, and they get, or they're in the band kids or whatever, or there's like all the Filipino kids that, do this and that. So I guess in some ways I didn't get that negative stereotype uh right away from just from looking at me.
Yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you. There's so many of us poly Asians, right? Because if you look at the majority of the guys on my channel, a lot of poly Asians on there,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sione Uema is Okinawan, Tongan, and
Yeah.
then
Okay, yeah.
of course, get me Hawaiian Chinese, Nolan, Hawaiian Chinese, get plenty of that poly Asian going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Um, I think the next question I want to ask you too is, if you were to talk about your biggest successes and challenges you had in life, what
Mm.
would you say there were? What were they?
Ooh, it's a good question. Um, Biggest challenges, I think, well, maybe my first year away from home. That was like kind of at the time, it seemed like a pretty big challenge because I had never really lived away from Hawaii at all. Coming up to BYU was pretty different culture. Not only like religiously, but also just the way people interact with each other. That was pretty different. That was a little bit of a struggle my freshman year. It was, thank goodness that two of my aunties live up here, that so I could see them pretty often on those weekends or whatever when I just felt kind of homesick or whatever. It was good, and they always invite us over or invite me over, come come eat, come just hang out, all that. So that was always a big help in my life. That was one of the bigger challenges. But after that, like learning to, I guess, associate with people differently, um, or different people, not people differently, but different people. That helped set me up for, I think, other things in life, just like finishing off school and then also serving a mission for the LDS Church, because that put me in Colorado, so that was more of just places that I wasn't used to or comfortable with initially. But just learning to, I think, be comfortable in my own skin and just this is how, just say like, this is how I am. You don't necessarily have to change for people, but as people get to know you, they'll accept you and appreciate you for what you are, who you are, and what you have to offer, and things like that. So that was a big challenge, one of the bigger challenges. So I mean, saying that, there's a lot of people that I look at and have much more, much harder, what I would consider harder challenges in their lives. And, so I've been very fortunate that I haven't had to deal with those kinds of things. But success wise, I think being able to finish school and being able to get into a profession that I appreciate and enjoy, and being able to not dread going to work every day, I think that's been a success in my life. And I would consider being able to live here and be married, to my wife, and just be up here and live comfortably as we are now is also a big success and blessing in my life. You said earlier, oh, gotta come home, and I would love to, but at the same time, there's a lot of factors that play into that, and it would be perfect. I mean, it would be ideal if we could, one day return and help out the local community. But at the same time, it's if we can take care of ourselves first, we might be able to help a little more down the road. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal about it, man. What you said, that last part right there, because especially since COVID happened, I've been noticing a lot more challenges happening in the local community, and just talking to people on this podcast that are heavily involved in the community
Yeah.
too, seeing what they do, some first responders and guys that do social work and all this kind, telling me all these stories, and it's sad, man. And I, I even told some of my really close friends, some of my best friends that live on the mainland, they said, bro, you guys got to come back because they need help over here, especially the Polynesian communities, Hawaiian communities, the locals, especially the local brothers, man.
Yeah.
They need people to help them get better physically, mentally, every aspect, because a
For
lot of
sure.
them, they feel like there's no opportunities, there's no hope for them to improve their lifestyle because it's so damn expensive over here. But
Yeah.
and I was able to be a part of a few of these seminars with some tech experts and talk to like students, high school students, about opportunities that are available in tech. Oh, it was great, bro. Talking to these
Mhm.
kids and then answering their questions about whatever it was, telling them like, dude, you work in tech, you can work for mainland companies from home here in Hawaii. And
Yeah.
mainland companies, a lot of times they pay more than what local companies pay for. So, there's that, and then,
Yeah.
stuff that they never thought about before.
Yeah.
And which is what I do. But yeah, just all that kind of stuff. And so if you ever decide to move home, I know some physical therapists that can probably hook you up.
All right. On Maui.
On Maui. Oh, so speaking of Maui, man, I mean, as we know, all that craziness that's happening there.
Yeah.
How has that affected you, and what is your take on all of that? Because I hear stories about now you got Oprah and The Rock helping everybody out, was great, and then I hear stories about some people starting these foundations and organizations to help out, but you don't know what's legit or not. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and you don't know who to trust. Well,
Yeah.
what is your feelings about all of that that's happening in Maui now, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah. So I mean, like, first, it's pretty tragic. Yeah, that's pretty devastating. I mean, almost the whole town is wiped out. A lot of people lost their lives and homes and family. And thankfully my family is in Kahului, so it's on the, central part of the island. None of them were injured or lost property. But oof, it's tough. I mean, so from here, it's hard because I hear stuff from my family, and it's different from what social media says. But then there's also some people that you see on social media that are, like, are actually in it too. So we hear their point of view, and that first couple of days, pretty high stress, high tension. So I think people say a lot of things that they don't mean in the first couple of days. So of course, me, I'm here in the mainland, and away from all of that stuff directly, but I had classmates, and there's some other family that have lost homes, and so one of my classmates in particular, his wife's family lost their home, and so he's really gung ho about stuff. So he just went in. He's like, "Hey, what can we do? Like, what are we gonna do to help? Get these people, get like whoever's there right now, comfortable and get them what they need." So so he got in his truck. He just drove down there. To wherever he was allowed to go at least, and try to work things out that way. And so as soon as they were able to let people back in, or as soon as they were just letting people in, he just had truckloads of stuff going in, and trying to get to people. So that's pretty cool. So there's stuff like that. There's people in the Kahului area that are taking in other friends, families, or people maybe that they might not even have known, to help house them and stuff. For now, right now, I think a lot of people are in hotels, yeah, and stuff, getting housed there. Um, but I mean, my take on it is I think there's a lot of positive and negative that I see on social media, especially like with putting some of the stars, or the people with a lot of money on blast. Yeah, they're like, oh, these guys just doing it for show. They're making these foundations, and like they're asking other people for money, but they get all this money to give to. And in some ways I can see that point of people just bothering. I mean, people kind of criticizing them in that way. But I think also, they're trying to. I think there's more. I think you feel more satisfaction if you yourself can also help in some way, even if it's a few dollars, or even if it's like a bag of diapers or something. They're not asking you to give everything you have. I mean, because those stars could pay for a good portion of restoration, I'm sure. But I think there is some level of satisfaction in people just being able to offer something to help out, and donate and stuff like that. So as negative as it may be that all of these stars are, just people think that they may be doing it for show, I think at the same time it's something somewhat helpful to the community and to them as well.
Yeah, so many people are helping out. We donated as well. And interesting how you said the negative and positive, because the positive that I've been seeing is seeing the entire world come together to help out us.
Yeah. Yeah.
The NFL, I forget what team it was, but I don't know if you saw it on TV. They had these shirts that said Malama Maui
Oh.
on it.
Oh.
I forget what team it was, but yeah, the NFL, Malama Maui. So obviously, some local people that play in the NFL had helped and influenced that, right? And so anybody that bought these shirts, the proceeds would go to Maui and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
See all these celebrities like Dana White, Jeff Bezos, of course, The Rock, Oprah. A lot of these guys putting forth their time and efforts to help out. It's pretty cool to see that, man. And even the people in Maui too, like you said, complete strangers helping each other out. Allowing people to stay in their homes and stuff. And it's super sad too, because one of my classmates, he posts a lot on social media, and he was saying something about how he was helping people. And he's just a regular guy that works. I think he's a teacher, but he's been helping to pull dead bodies out of the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, just pull them out so they could identify them and stuff. But at one point, they couldn't do it anymore because there are too many sharks eating our bodies, man. I mean, I know it's kind of morbid, but that's the reality of the tragedy that's happening there, bro. All these bodies floating in the ocean. They're trying to fish them out, bring them out, and then sharks are eating them right now. Crazy, bro.
Yeah. And it's too bad because I mean, there's a lot of speculation and things with government, and like, oh, there's these underhanded things that are happening to try and you know get land, acquire land in other ways and stuff like that. So I mean, it's sad that there's things like that, and some of those things could be true. Like I said, I'm not there to assess the whole situation, but it's sad that you hear these undertones of like negativity while people are trying to find their families, or trying to think about what they're going to do to recover their homes or their property, stuff like that. So I mean, there's just a lot of negativity that could be. I mean it's good to know about these things, but at the same time it's like, hey, just how are we going to how are we going to help the situation, how are we going to help it improve, and things like that. So it's hard to say what the answer is for those kinds of things, but there's also people who thrive in the, building up the negativity of certain situations and all these conspiracies and things like that. So yeah.
And that's one thing I appreciate about you, man. As long as I've known you, like over what, about 20 years now.
Yeah, long time.
Always been the guy that stays on a positive, that emits that kind of energy, as far as long as I've known you, man. You're always smiling, you're always looking at the positive side of things. That's a good trait to have, especially
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah. Yeah,
Dealing
try.
with all,
Sometimes hard, yeah, sometimes hard, but
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I think, yeah, there's always a positive that you can find out of some kind of situation. I think, well, not always, most of the time there is. Even if not, though, there's still things that you can learn from negative situations and say like, if the thing you learn is, oh man, I'm never gonna do that again, I think that's still something that you learned from something like that.
Yeah. Learning quickly from your failures, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
If you were to give any advice to Polynesian men, especially, or just anybody out there that's dealing with challenges in their life, what kind of advice would you want to give them, based on your own personal experiences? What would you want to share?
Oh, that's a deep question, man. That's a loaded question. Um, I think part of it is that you can learn something from every situation. That's part of it. And I think with Polynesians in general, we grew up with a good work ethic. Our parents made us, do stuff like all kinds of stuff, yeah. Um, and so just having a good work ethic and sometimes just relying on that can be a big help, a big plus that other people see in your life. Um, because I mean, shucks, like I always tell like people up here, or like I always share funny stories like, oh, every time I go home, well, before I got married, every time I used to go home, it's like my dad is like, okay, we gotta go clean somebody's yard. We gotta go cut down this guy's tree or this person's tree. He's like, yeah, like I don't know, I swear like 4 or 5 years in a row, every time I go home, it's like, oh, take a couple loads of whatever to the dump.
Yeah, man.
So
You come home for vacation. You doing your hard work, bro. That's how most
yeah,
people
for
do.
real. And
Yeah,
that's
hard
how
work.
most of us is, I think, I
Yeah.
mean, which is kind of funny. But this past year was the first time my wife went back with me, so I never have to do yard work this time. So that was kind of nice, yeah. But no, I think just growing up having a good work ethic is good. If we don't have one, then try to develop that. There's a lot of good that comes from just putting in work and time. But as far as like just I know people might struggle with just insecurity or like, I mean, and that's some of those things can lead to depression, or not just insecure, but just there's other things that lead to depression on the way. And that's a hard thing to deal with. And I'm not a professional on any of those things. So I don't know if I can give, accurate or helpful tips on those kinds of things. But um I know, but one thing that I've seen that has helped with people that I know that are really close to me is talking to the proper channels and the proper help. I mean, I think there's not a shame in seeing a counselor or a therapist to do that. I think people in our generation, we still have that negative stigma of like, nah, I I'm good. Like I don't need help from one doctor that's gonna tell me like this is how you can improve your life or whatever. I think there's still a negative stigma with people our age, and that's something that is hard for us to overcome, but it is helpful once you decide to, I guess, take that leap or take that step to getting the proper help.
Brother, you hit it right on the button right there, man. During COVID, I was getting really stressed out because I had to work. I was working from home. I try to find this balance of having the kids at home every once in a while, but also making these decisions about what to do when leaving the home because I had all these restrictions, right? And we were still kind of COVID was still unknown. All these variables were still unknown.
Yeah.
So it's like, do we go to school? Do we not go to school? Do I go out shop? Do I not go out shop? All these they called it decision fatigue. That's an actual thing called
Mm.
decision fatigue, where when you come up with more challenges in life, it affects your ability to make decisions. And the more decisions you got to make, you literally get fatigued from it, and it causes more stress. And so that's why during COVID, a lot of guys were stressed out, depression, suicide, all that kind of stuff was happening.
Yeah.
I literally saw a therapist. When was it? At the end of 2021, because I was just getting stressed out, bro. And I just, for the longest time, I was like, yeah, no need. And then I decided, you know what? I want to do something about it. And it helped. It did help. What was interesting was that the lady who helped me, she said that Hawaii has one of the higher rates of mental illness per capita. And she said part of the reason is because of the cultural aspects. Because she said Polynesians tend to think that they get it. They don't have to go because we can handle it. And she said Asians tend to think, oh, we don't want to talk about that kind of stuff and sweep it on.
Just keep it in. Keep it in.
And then look at us. You and I both part Polynesian, part Asian. So
both sides of it, yeah.
And so that's a big thing. And so you hit it right there, man, when we're talking about how people need to actually take the time to do something about it and not worry about these stigmas, because, you know, it helps. It literally helps to just talk to somebody. Even if you don't see a therapist, talk to somebody, man. You know, family, friends, like this. Like, like some of the podcast episodes that I've had, some of these sessions talking straight with the guys afterwards, when we powered, they said, oh, thanks for that, bro. I feel better now. You know, they literally told me that after the episode. I was like, oh, cool. You know, because they had all this stuff on their mind, and it's just sharing it with somebody that helps out. So and it helps me out too, honestly. So yeah, we appreciate you taking that time to talk story with everybody about this. It's great, man. Is there anything else you want to share or talk about before we go? Before we head on?
No, not really. I just kind of, just answering questions, or I mean, just, whatever you had in mind. So
yeah,
if you have anything else too, I mean, I can try to answer, but other than that, I think that's it.
Cool, brother. Yeah, no, I appreciate you being on here, man, and sharing your manao with everybody. And folks, if you're in the Utah Provo area and you get injured, check out my man Jared Leung-Wo, bro. He can help get you straight and doing what you need to be doing. So go check him out.
All right, yeah.
But want to say mahalo to you, brother. Really appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. And folks, when this episode pops up, don't forget to leave comments, subscribe, and like the channel, and just be a part of the whole Ho'oikaika community, man. We just try to spread some positivity out there because we need it, not just Hawaii, but entire world. So looking forward to seeing you guys online. So mahalo, brother Jared.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Okay. Mahalos.